When users log into PrintBay, we're going to generate a JSON web token and send it back to them. So this token will be stored on the user model, so that when the token is later used to authenticate a call, we can then match the token to the user. So this means we're going to need to enhance our user schema and to store the token. So we're going to add a new property to the schema, and we'll call this one token, and we'll give it a type, and that's going to be a string. Next, we're going to write a method on the model that will generate the token. Before we do that, we need to be aware of the types of methods that are available for Mongoose. So there's two types: static methods and instance methods. So static methods are called on a model. For example, the findById method. Now, static methods are generally used to query or update multiple documents. Instance methods, on the other hand, are applied to an individual model that has been returned from the database, or perhaps was newly created. For example, the save method is an instance method. Finally, it's important to realize that we can add custom methods to our Mongoose schema, allowing us to extend the features of Mongoose, as we're going to be doing in this video now. We're now going to generate our JSON web token. So let's begin by installing a package for this, and we're going to save it as a dependency, and it's called JSON web token, all one word. The JSON web token library is going to abstract most of the logic about generating JWTs, making things much simpler for us. So let's now require this package at the top of our user model file. So we're going to declare a variable JWT, and we're going to require the JSON web token package like that. Let's now add a custom instance method to our user schema. So instance methods are added to the methods object on the schema. So we can go user schema, methods, and I'm going to call this method generate auth token. Now the idea of this method is that it's going to be called from any express point where we load the user. And it's going to do two things. Firstly, it's going to generate a token and save it to the model. Then it will return the token. So we're going to assign this function property just a regular async function. And note that we don't use the arrow function here, because we want to use this keyword, in other words the context object, because that's going to refer to the specific document that we're running this method on. So now we can generate our token. So let's define a variable token, and we're going to use the JSON web token package and use the sign method. And this is how we're going to generate the complete token. So the sign method has two arguments, and the first one is a payload for the JSON web token. So remember that this needs to include an ID for the user that the server can use to identify the user. So let's just use the Mongo document ID for that user. So we can do this by creating an underscore ID property, and then we'll assign to this the user ID, which is going to be a property of the context object. So we can go this dot underscore ID, and then we'll use the toHexString method, so it's stored as a string. Now the second argument to sign is the salt, in other words the secret value that we use to salt our hash. So you can make this any string that you like. So I'm just going to call it secret value for now. And then finally what we're going to do is call the toString method on this token so that we can now store it as a string. Let's now go ahead and save this string to the model by going this dot token equals token, and then we're going to await the saving of the model, and then once the save process completes we can return the token. Now before we move on, we should move our secret string value into the environment file, so that because we don't want this hard coded, because obviously we don't want anyone to know this secret, because if they do, they can decode any of our tokens, which is not good. So let's create a new environment variable. We'll call it JWT underscore secret, like that. And then you can give this any value you want. It just has to be a secret string. So I'm just going to mash my keyboard, and that value is good enough. All right, so going back to our model now, what we want to do is replace the secret value here with process.env JWT underscore token, JWT underscore secret, like that.